Welcome back, folks. Got chapter 13 of Dark Deity. Let's do this shit. Also, if you hear noise in the background, that's the AC and the fan. And unfortunately, you're just going to have to deal with that. And it looks like everything is good to go. At least that I can tell. Maybe it's not. Fucking we'll see. The party and crew battle with storm spirits on the high seas, having attracted them with the high volume of adept blood on board. This brings them the fortune of meeting Monroe and Iris, two other passengers who find themselves lacking a final destination. The party agrees to let them come along. No one expects that their journey will get any easier. They reach ground in Isn's Hope, a harbor town. After leaving his ship and preparing his crew to wait for the group, Ford comes along. They set off on the long trek to Chevelons, where the Order of Eternals makes its home. Irving prepares to meet his father. Vesta prepares to petition the Order for aid. It's beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. It's ridiculous that you can still see the ocean. Anyone afraid of heights? Can anyone spot the ship? Hello, old humpback. Not with these eyes. Perhaps our young sharpshooter might. Oh yeah, I can see it. Not you, Benji. I guess I just can't compete. Still, it's quite a view, isn't it, Irving? Irving? Vesta's been in there for quite some time. Ah, well, I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. There's a lot to catch up on. And there she is at last, not a moment too soon. I'm eager to collect my debts and get back on the seas, you know. I'm afraid you'll have to wait a bit longer. The council won't be meeting until tomorrow. You live to disappoint me, don't you? Irving, the Grand Vicar will see you now. Grand Vicar. Vicar? Vicar, probably. Huh. Oh, of course. Well, this is it. You've waited your whole life for this. No use in waiting any longer. It's just, I never thought this day would come. Certainly not like this. I understand. Feels like every day since we left Brookstead, something completely unbelievable has happened. How could you understand, Garrick? You've always known your father. I still wonder if anyone really knows that man. But regardless, this isn't about me. You're going to be fine, Irving. Just stand up straight, try to make a good impression, all the usual things. And don't keep him waiting. Go on. Irving. Hello, father. Pardon the mess. Vesta's news was troubling, to say the least. Had me turning the place upside down for old records. That's all right. Come here. Let me get a good look at you. Quite the man you've shaped up to be, Irving. A Sildarian through and through. Hair red as ruby like your brother's. Though, it seems as Vesta says, you've changed since the incident. In appearance, I mean. I suppose. Do you feel any different? I think so. Especially around the aspects. It's sort of like a nettle on my skin. As if I can feel the energy inside them. Black Knight. Then it's as I feared. Father, I'm afraid I have worse news still. About Sterling. Yes, we tried to save him. Marin, Bianca, Lincoln. But the blast. Father, I'm sorry. Sterling, I think somehow I knew, if that's possible. Something in Vesta's voice. If only I'd gotten there sooner. I knew I could have. No, you mustn't blame yourself. Though this news is grave indeed, no doubt this weighs on your heart as much as mine. It does. Even after all this time, it hardly feels real. He was like a father to you. Yes, that's all too understandable. That wasn't my intention, father. He'd find a way to see the good somehow, wouldn't he? He'd say, look, father, there's one son yet in front of you with plenty to be proud of. And he'd be right. That would have been just like him. You think you know what happened? Or who he is? This sorcerer who caused the explosion? The Order has its suspicions. We've been following the disappearance of the Aspects for quite some time. All the more reason I'm thankful you and your friends preserved so many. Glad you found us. I am too. Look, I know no amount of words can make up for lost time, but well, I just want you to understand. It was a true burden for me to be absent from your childhood years, and so many of your brothers. I understand. I know that's hardly an apology, son, but, well, an apology is something I can't give. The protection of the aspects has fallen to the most capable members of our family for generations. I did my best to explain that to your mother before we wed. Mother always emphasized the importance of your mission. I think I'm beginning to understand it firsthand. Yes, well, I find myself wishing its importance were less and less with each day. How is your mother? Fine, I suppose, though I haven't seen her since I left Brookstead. Hmm. You know, Irving, I was hoping to spare you the burdens of this life, but it seems destiny's brought you right into the thick of it. I just I just want to know what it will ask of me. I want to be ready for it, not like I was on the battlefield. Do not hold that day against yourself. That's a burden no heart can bear. No matter how strong you've become, you're still young. You're giving everything you can. Everything I have isn't always going to be enough. I keep giving it because it's all I've ever known, but I can't understand how I'm supposed to keep going. Hold on one second. Okay, cool. Just checking. Gods, I have to believe most would have cracked under this much pressure at your age. You've grown into a warrior well before most. I suppose it's in our blood. Son, for what little it's worth, I'm proud to be your father. I can hope that my blood had some say in the man you've become, but to do it all alone, you should be proud. Listen, I've arranged quarters for you and your companions in the city. Go and get some rest. We'll have a long day of proceedings tomorrow. Thank you, Father. And Irving, I can't tell you how much it lifts my spirits in these grim days to finally meet you. You truly are the kind of son that would make any father proud. I'm glad of it, Father. I'll see you in the morning. Oh, damn, look at her. Members of the Third Circle, and friends of the Order of Eternals, I thank you for gathering here on such short notice. There is much to discuss, so I suggest we begin immediately. One of our own, Vesta of the Fourth Circle, brings disturbing testimony from Madeline. Counselors and friends, just weeks after receiving word from Crooked Spire about the disappearance of the aspects, my temple was attacked by a powerful necromancer. In all the years I've kept the temple, I've never seen such magic as this. For this reason, I expect him to be in a position of at least 2 eternal aspects, possibly more. He was capable of phasing large distances and raising innumerable dead. I was completely overwhelmed. Were it not for the arrival of my new companions, we would likely no longer be in possession of the aspects which I swore to protect with my life. And who were these companions? Friends, both old and new. Once we routed the necromancer, they shared with me that they too had encountered a similar figure in a derelict noble manor in Northern Ireland. There, it seems he was pursuing an heirloom of the Drakenweld family, an aspect that perhaps had slipped through our requisition efforts. Nonsense. Counselor? Not now. What's more, they informed me they were themselves aware of several sites thought to contain aspects which were recently looted, and were in possession of a handful of aspects themselves. It was then that I elected to bring them here, for their safety, the protection of their aspects, and those which I kept at the Temple of Fame. What folly! Allow me to summarize. This priestess gets word of missing aspects and feats of sorcery too powerful one man alone. She then just happens to meet a rogue group of aspect wielders and decides to hand over her trove and lead them directly to us. I believe we have found our culprit, Grand Vicar. Open and shut. I will remind the good counselor that my son is among this group of rogues he speaks of. If I may interrupt, sir, my name is Maeve Lavarin. I address this body on behalf of the Mystic Council. We believe these events may be connected to the disappearance of the prodigy. He has eluded our observation now for quite some time. The prodigy? A talented student from Cosmere University, with an unprecedented propensity for magic. Perhaps he is capable of such sorcery. That troublesome expellee from Cosmere. What would he want with the aspects? I doubt he read enough to ever learn of them. Enough. Counselor, you will hold your tongue while testimony is given. Vesta, do you trust these companions of yours? Yes, Grand Vicar. I trust them with my life. They have preserved it on more than one occasion, and at great risk to their own lives. And you believe they are sincere in their account? Entirely. Hmm. Well, one thing is clear. Whoever is collecting these aspects has sinister intentions and must be apprehended before they can inflict further damage. And we are to believe these ones had no hand in this mischief based on the testimony of one priestess? Vesta is an esteemed member of our fourth circle and entitled to every honor therein. But no, our fate will not rest on her testimony alone. If her word is true, then the quest I give will surely empower them to find and defeat the threat we faced. But if her word is false, this quest will destroy them. You speak of the trial of soul, sir? Yes. The temple of Coeli Simash has been lost for millennia. I must admit, I'm surprised, sir. Even the arch mystic does not know of its location. Nor do I, but I do know where this knowledge resides. Vesta, you will take your companions to the ruins of the Temple of Lyric in the Oring Weald. There, you will find a compass of sorts. It will guide you to the Temple of Coeli Simash. If you then pass the soul trial, you need not return here. You will discover all that we can offer you in your quest to find and defeat this menace. Though your triumph against him, I cannot guarantee. What should we expect to find in the ruins? Resistance. Acquiring the compass was never intended to be easy, and you should proceed through the towering weald with care. One of my scribes will provide you with our most recent chartings of the forest, but the Sylvan tribes that inhabit it are as nomadic as they are lethal. There's no telling where they'll crop up one day to the next. I would also like to join them, sir, if I might. The Mystic Council is quite concerned about these incidents. I was just about to suggest something of the like. Depart with them. I will write to your superiors in the morning. Will you take your warden with you? She will. Oh, it seems we are decided then. If that's the case, I'd consider us adjourned. Indeed. And Vesta, I cannot make this warning to you and your companions too strongly. The device you seek in the ruins is of great power, and may be of great use to you, but it is quite dangerous. Trust it no more than you would a snake in a wicker basket. As you will, sir. Good. Son, I give you and your friends my blessing. Go and make your preparations quickly. Time is not on your side. Time is not on our side. There'll be a difference. Ah, she's the other archer. Diplomatic immunity. Defeating an enemy grants plus 30% dodge for one turn. She's got great dex, great strength, great mastery, pretty good speed. Oh, he's another adept? What is his? His magic is sky fucking high. Jesus. Can't take over 30% of max HP in one hit? Are you kidding me? He cannot be one hit. Ever. In one hit. So that's, okay, so the most he can lose in a single battle will be usually 60%. If he's fighting a Gale, it can be 90. Oh, so this depends. So I can't use my Gale anymore because unfortunately Elias is just too low level. I'm gonna promote him to Gale instead. So that balances his stats pretty nicely. Raises his dex and his speed. He's gonna have shit all for luck, but that's whatever. So then, what do I want you to have? I wonder, I wonder. I think I might want to, oh, I can't upgrade any of those. Upgrade my girl. Uh, already upgraded. Can't do anything with that because I still haven't gotten a level 3. Upgrade Caius. Make him a monster. Then Vesta. Okay. Vikmar's charge. Kills grant 2% power until end of chapter. Logil's flash. If doubling, second attack deals 25% increased damage. I mean, I absolutely could buy upgrades easily. All right. Lincoln and Irving, rank B. Irving, I have. Try that again. Irving, I have never been one for fine words, but even if I were, I expect the right ones would be hard to find now. I can only imagine what you feel. I don't know what's like to lose a brother. Maybe not, but you know what it's like to lose your friend. My dearest friend. The void of his absence is a burden we will both bear. I only wish we had more time. I don't think he expected to die that day. A soldier makes his peace with death the moment he lifts a sword. Sterling was no exception. How can you be so sure? Because we made a pact, Sterling and I. If either of us should perish, you take care of each other's families. Yes. And I suppose that's what you're doing now. Irving. Of course I have no intention of failing my oath to your brother, but it's not as if you're some helpless child in need of defending. You've learned to protect yourself better than I could ever hope to. And your friends. I'd say Sterling would be proud of you for that, but I know he already was. A bit premature on his part, but he said as much. And I know he meant it. Then, with any luck, we'll make him right. We'll honor his legacy. Together. I desire nothing more. That's actually a pretty sweet heart to heart. Oh. Yeah, rank A. And he went and bought a goat. No, that's not it. Rats. Is something wrong, Sia? I'm trying to remember this song. The Lender's Boy. Did you ever know it? Yes. A long time ago. We used to play a little game to go with it. Exactly. Wow. Better days. Anyway, I can't remember part of the lyrics to one of the verses. Which verse? Here, I'll sing it for you. The baker's rolls were 2 a penny, but the lender's boy didn't have any, so he borrowed a purse from his father's coat. What's next? Now he owes him interest on a promissory note. Oh, that's right. A promissory note. I always used to think that was so weird. Imagine charging interest to your own child. To be fair, I'd be pretty upset if my son stole my coin purse. Sure, but charging him interest? That's just low. You know, you have a lovely voice, Sia. Aw, shucks, thanks. I used to sing for the guests sometimes back at the Bandit. When they were behaving themselves, that is. So, not too often. To help them forget their troubles? Sure. I figured it might help take their minds off the road for a while. Well, I appreciate you trying to do the same for me. Oh, no, it's not like that. Don't think twice about it. I believed it worked for a moment there. Most people deserve to go a whole lifetime without experience what you're going through now. Mm. I don't pretend to know what most people deserve. But you got me thinking about my childhood. Back then, I was blessed with all kinds of gifts, without doing anything to deserve them. Maybe it all comes due in the end. If that's the case, I think the gods owe you a lot of interest. I guess we'll find out. When we do, I'll sing a song about it. I think I'd like to hear that. Maybe you will. Alden, I don't think I've congratulated you recently. You're speeding through a mage's greatest milestones at a pace I never thought possible. I hope you're setting aside time to take it all in. Thanks. I try to. Are you following your sister's advice, eating well and getting lots of sleep? I think so. Very good. Is something wrong? No, nothing's wrong. Honest. Everything you're saying makes sense. Look, I know the events at Swift Harbor changed me, and not just physically either. There's this new sensitivity around the aspects and other phenomena. But I want to assure you I haven't turned into some vicious animal, or been replaced by an imposter. I'm still the same Irving you know. I have all the same memories, and the same fondness and respect for our friends, as well as for you and your sister. Don't worry, Irving. I know that. Of course you do. Yes. This must just be strange for you to witness. I don't think I would know how to respond either if I were in your position. I just don't know what that's like. If something like that were to happen to me, to Marin, I mean, I can't even imagine. Then don't, Alden. There's no use in it. We've all experienced loss enough already, one way or another. We can't afford to feel the loss of those we still have with us. We have to concentrate on looking out for each other instead. That's all I really want, anyway. To help protect you guys and my sister. Good. Then you're on the right path. Irving, how are you feeling? It wouldn't be right to complain. But you want to. Let's just say, I can still remember a time in my life when my whole body wasn't sore, though only very distantly now. I think I know just the spell for that. Please, Marin, don't bother. I just need to rest. Stubborn as always. How did it go? Your talk with your father? As well as can be expected. I'm sure he was devastated by the news. I have a feeling Vesta may have softened the blow a bit, but yes, I have no doubt that he was. How did he react? He was strong, as I'm sure was always trained to be. A man in his position is never far from loss. Still, I'm sure this was uniquely painful. With Sterling, he lost more than a son. I'm sorry, Irving. I wasn't trying to bring all of that back up again. No, that's all right. I need to say this. My father felt he lost a piece of himself too when my brother died. At least he felt that way. I think anyone whose life even remotely intersected with his would say the same. I know I would. He always considered you a trusted friend, and I was always honored by that, just as I was honored to be at his side in the end. I know you did everything you could, Marn. I hope you don't blame yourself. Don't worry. I don't. That's one of the first lessons you learn as a healer. The easy way or the hard way. Then perhaps that's a lesson you can teach to the rest of us. If I can, I will. Oh, good God. Okay. Iris, I don't mean to presume, but if you blame yourself for our run-in with the elementals, you shouldn't. You may have an adept's gifts, but there are others in our groups who share them. A fight like that was likely inevitable. Thanks. I appreciate you saying that, although if it was my fault, it wouldn't have been the first time. I see. Your powers must be very potent if attracting elementals is a regular occurrence. I guess so. I know so. You've demonstrated that in the ways you've generously lent your gifts to our efforts. I'm not so sure about all that, but that's a nice compliment. Do you think you'll remain with us? I hope. Everyone's been nothing but kind. It all depends on Monroe, really. Ah, yes, the noble heir of Silvergarden. If I might speak freely, he seems like a piece of work. Of course. Of course you can speak freely, not of course that he's... I know what you meant. If it's any reassurance, you can speak freely with me. I'm the last person who would go whispering your secrets in the ear of your employer. I'm a priestess, remember. counsel and confidence goes with the territory. Thanks, Vesta. That means a lot. Of course. I'm glad to have you with us, Iris. If you need anything at all, don't hesitate to let me know. Okay, I won't. Vesta, I didn't get the chance to say this that night, but we were fortunate to find you in the temple. We'd come across undead before at Drakenweld, but never in such force. I wouldn't have known the first thing about cleansing the necrotic energy. I'm quite sure we owe you our lives. In the meantime, you have my thanks. Well, I'm not sure you would have found me alive had you not arrived when you did, so I'm more than willing to call it even. Perhaps we both have the gods to thank. Yes, we always do. You're not from Delia, are you? No, Carmont. Then you're familiar with the gods of my devotion. Yes. Bane is the patron of our people, among those who fear the gods, anyway. So, anyone beyond the walls of the capital. Unfortunately, that's quite accurate. Voran's harsh political climate doesn't lend itself well to religion. I disagree. The people of Voran have simply taken up a different religion of their own. Perhaps you're right. In any case, I'm glad to be far from it. As am I. I'm grateful for the crossing of our paths, Captain. May they lead us to victory, to the glory of the gods. To the glory of the gods. I need to take a drink. Okay. What do these two have to talk about? Blazes. Why is this so hard? Need a hand with that fire? Oh, this is embarrassing. I promise, Elias, I'm not normally this incompetent. Please, there's no need for that. It's hardly an inconvenience. There. Incredible. And you do that just by thinking? Feeling, really? I don't know if I'd ever get used to that. I wouldn't say that I have. Really? You seem well in command on the battlefield. That's kind of you to say. I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. I'm sure you wouldn't. Mind if I warm myself a bit? There's a chill about. Be my guest. After all, it's your fire. It's good to be in the company of another woman of faith. It seems we've both heard higher callings. And followed them along different paths. I suppose that's true. Where did you discern? Based on your dress, I'd guessed Wushang. But I'm not familiar with all of the monasteries. You're correct. It seems you're well acquainted with the Silent Way. I grew up on Verawa. My father conducted archival work for the various faith traditions in Voldemond. There was a temple in the city. Have you visited the Tranquil Isle? No, but I did have occasion to meet the patient mother once when I was very little. She had a peace about her that struck me. Such a peace can only come through silence. There's something to be said for that. There's an awful lot of noise these days, no thanks to the war. Indeed, it seems that one's man's pride should... The hell was that? Indeed, it seems a pity that one man's pride should cost so many lives. Certainly. What was it like? The Tranquil Isle, I mean. Beautiful. My thoughts often dwell on it. I think often of home myself. The places I miss, friends, family. Do you still have family on Verawa? None, not any worth missing. I see. Well, on the bright side, I'd imagine that left you somewhat free to pursue your vocation. She who comes to see trial as gift finds riches beyond measure. True, though that's no small task. Maybe you can teach me how to do it. I've plenty yet to learn myself. I'm not sure that ever changes. No, I don't believe it does. It seems you hardly ever part with that pill. Oh my goodness. Restart. Hold on. It seems you are hardly ever part with that quill, Corvin. Inspiration is a fickle lever. A faithful writer must be ready to reach for his pen at a moment's notice. And what about an unfaithful writer? I wouldn't know. I've never read any of their work. Fair point. On the subject of inspiration, your background has sparked my curiosity. There are a few questions I might ask, if you have the time. I figured as much. Tell me, the trove of aspects you kept at the temple, did you guard them alone? Or were there others with you? Corvin, I'm no hermit. Of course there were others. Those who supported my mission, the clerics who sent me to the temple, and so on. Naturally, but I mean actually with you, in the temple. Some local folk, all rather lovely, merchants, farmers, travelers, pilgrims from all over Etlin. I grew fond of them. And yet, all that while, your mission was hidden from them. The defense of the aspects was not my only task, Corvin. I am a cleric. My duty was to tend to the faithful. Of course, no doubt they relied on you to inspire their faith. And who inspired yours? One who prays is never far from the divine. I'll admit, it was difficult at times, but there were moments now and again that reminded me of my purpose. Why I did what I did. Those moments sustained me. Just something I've always wondered about clerics. So many lean on them. How can they stand on their own 2 feet? Same as we march onward now, together, supporting one another. It's no mystery, really. Good. In that case, our success depends on a proven strategy. I believe it does. Then may we all take inspiration from your faith. Well, you handled yourself well enough against those elementals, though I would have rather known about your condition in the first place. You're right. I should have told you. I'm sorry. Yes, you most certainly should have. But on the bright side, I'm much more confident in your capabilities now than I once was. I'm not sure I would have come out of that so spotless without you. Or without our new friends. Friends, yes. Do you think they can be trusted? I don't know. I think so. But I'm not always a good judge of that. There's something about them, a strange mix. Aramoran royalty, Dalian officers, other well-traveled types. They have potential, like they could really leave a mark on this world. Is that why we're following them? To see what they do? Well, when people this important take an interest in objects as powerful as these aspects they speak of, it becomes a personal interest of mine to someone in my position. You understand. Of course. What about your business in Hao Fen? I thought it was important. It was, but this more so. Why? I'm not sure, really. I guess I'm glad we're sticking with them. Then you do trust them. I think so. Hmm. Well, let's hope time proves your intuition's correct. Let's hope. It was good to see you get on the boat. Familiar faces are few and far between right now. What in the world are you doing with these people? You heard that my father disowned me and I dropped off the map, I presume. Of course. Where were you? Captured by bandits, funnily enough. Irving and the others rescued us. Us? Ah, Sophia is the dearest friend I've ever had, though I'd appreciate you not telling her that. Her family took me in after my exile, fed me, clothed me. In peasant guard, I'm sure. I'd love to see what that looked like. I'm sure you would, you fiend. Either way, we stuck with them. I have no place in Sojourn, and there are other reasons to stick around. What happened in the wastes? Last I heard, your traveling companions wiped out both the Aramoran and Delian armies and killed the commander. Keep your voice down. Sterling's little brother's on board. You had to watch him die, and now has to carry the guilt that a whole kingdom thinks he was the one to kill him. That's awful. From what I'd heard, Sterling was a good man. Yes, and so is his brother. Monroe, I know you have no real purpose in Veroa, so I won't pry. I think you should join us. I can't explain why unless you promise to stay within the group. All right, Valmiran. I've known you a long time and never known you to care for anything at all. You have my curiosity. Ah, fuck. Now I want to know. But that would involve having Sloane in the battle party, and she's like level 15. Or when we're reaching the level 21. threshold. Arama? Hello, Samara. Did you need something? Yes. Teach me. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to be more specific. I want to learn to fight like you. Before I even saw you in the arena, just from the way people spoke of you, I always did. Now I see you dance circles around your enemies with my own eyes. I want you to train me. I'm flattered, but I don't know I have anything to critique. I've seen you fight with skill. Then you can see my abilities are nothing like yours. Samara, your gifts lie in healing. I am an adept. We must each walk the paths set before us. I don't want to walk. I want to run. Your eagerness will serve you well. I was the same in my youth, but it must be balanced with patience. Patience. Just what am I waiting for, exactly? Experience will translate to skill in time. Then give me the experience I need. You wish to spar? Yes. Huh. It seems wherever I go, the fight is inescapable. Perhaps it's my fate. I mean, only if it's not a burden, of course. No, not at all. I will honor your zeal. It's an inspiration to me. But we must begin cautiously. I don't want either of us put out of commission for the next fight. Sure. I'm ready when you are. Then let's begin. Timing, Sophia. You really could work on your timing. What? Is this what I said on the boat? I wish it were only about that. Look, all I'm saying is everywhere we go, people think we've showed up just in time to solve their problems. For free, too. How does that work? It seems like we've got big signs around our necks that say free help. In fairness, I would like to think we look somewhat formidable. Shouldn't that scare people? The wrong people. It doesn't seem to work that way. Maybe I'm just too cute. I wouldn't be too sure. Maybe it's the ferret. Have you thought of ditching it? I saw a nice patch of wood not too far. Sloane! Ugh, you're terrible. You didn't hear that, did you, Butter? No, you don't speak mean. You're so predictable, it hurts. At least I'm consistent. And nice to harmless little animals. That's one way of looking at it, and I'm not sure any of your enemies would call Butter harmless. Well, then you'd better not become one. I'm shaking in my boots. You're not wearing boots. No, Sophia, technically I'm not. How do you get around in those things anyway? Very carefully. Gracefully too, I hope. Yeah, keep open. Things are getting tense. Are you sure we're making the right decision sticking around? Are you kidding me? Irving's brother just died. We didn't kill the baddie. He needs us. Look around us, Sia. There are some massively capable people already here for him. Joining an army? Sure. Leaving Etlin in search of some ancient order we've never heard of? Not so much. You know me better than anyone else in the world. You know how much I hated living in Duskwater with no purpose whatsoever. What we're doing now is important. I don't know that I'm so sure. Who are we to know who is in the right? Well, I don't know about you, but this is my life, and I'm going to live it how I want and by my own convictions. It's right because I say it's right. That's good enough for me. You've been listening to Lincoln too much. Maybe. His way of life is so simple. It's sort of beautiful, don't you think? Truthfully, I think it would be better fitting of a simpleton, but there is much I admire in how he carries himself. That's what's so inspiring about it, though. What need do you have of nuance when you've already decided your next action 10 minutes before you even know what the options are? I can see how it would seem alluring to your impulsive self. I think a more measured approach is appropriate. But I've also learned not to judge. He's a capable warrior and a friend. He's cute, too. See ya, he's a decade older than you are. Oh, not for me. I think he's got eyes for our new priestess friend. Well, Vesta seems to carry heavy burdens. You could use the comfort of partnership, I think. Oh, I'm Elias. I don't judge people except when I do. You're my confidant for that. It's a bad habit I've been trying to kick. Your gossiping heart brings it out of me. Oh, sure, go ahead and blame me for your shortcomings. I will. You better keep your distance or I'm going to mess up your hair something fierce. You really traveled all that way just to face Arama's trial? I did. That's quite a distance. It was. You were like him, no? An adept, yes, but I wouldn't be so proud to say the similarities extend far beyond that. He is a much greater fighter. Not long ago, I'd only seen adepts at a distance. Now I fight alongside two, three, no, four. Now, more than two. Bianca, for instance. I did not know. I didn't either until we all began to share our stories. Were they similar? In some ways, though not in others. Adepts are regarded differently in each of our homelands. Tell me, how are they treated in Naja? With reverence. Interesting. Arama said something similar about Aramor. But in Naja, they are not fighters. They are artists. The most famous actors in Hao Fen's theaters are almost exclusively adepts. Is that so? Sounds dangerous. Precautions are taken to keep audiences safe. Their innate abilities do much to express the emotions of their characters. I would imagine. I think that's something I'd like to see someday. Then perhaps you will. Hey, barmaid girl. Who do you think you are? The name's Sia. I know. Seemed like an easier way to get your attention quickly. It worked. What do you want? I've been wanting to ask you about Duskwater. I don't think I ever mentioned Duskwater. Yeah, I asked Bianca. Of course you did. What do you want to know? Honestly? Anything you're willing to tell me. I grew up with nothing at all. I was an orphan and the coins flipped different. And where the coins flipped different, I may have starved in the desert. Jeez, that's awful. Yeah, but isn't the point. I was sold this idea that Aramorans and Delians are so different. That was what got me into fighting. I'm starting to see that there really isn't much different between us. Black Abyss, I mean, our two towns would be in the same kingdom if you just move them both up 100 miles. I guess that's true. I don't know. I never thought much about Aramor. I was surprisingly busy helping my parents run the inn. What was it called? The Doddering Bandit. Sort of dumb, but it stuck. Check 1 for similarities. Inn names are ridiculous in Aramor too. Although I think it's like that everywhere. How could it not be? No one wants to stay at some dreary place. Inns should be lively. Fair point. Let's see. What do you even ask about? I know this may seem strange to you, but I genuinely never learned anything positive about Delians. Hate to say it, but it sounds like you barely learned much either way if what you were told was intended to spur you to violence. Fair point again. Sorry to start the conversation this way. I've just been set in my ways for a pretty long time now. It's my nature to love, not to fight. I don't know how I got caught up. How I got all caught up. Something you see serving in a town that knows its share of mercenaries. Fighting is an easy thing to get into. Easiest thing in the world, really. Getting out? That's hard. You managed to stuff a lot of wisdom in a little barmaid. Yeah, I've seen more heartbreak and ruin than I'd care to think about. Even now, you've jumped from fighting to fighting. At least now there's a cause. We think that now. Everyone fighting does. We won't know whether there really was until it's too late. Oh my god, can y'all not have so many fucking conversations? My throat is destroyed. Phew, you don't mess around. Catch your breath. You're not ready to learn how to fight to the brink of exhaustion. We need to master the fundamentals first. You fight with your mind. That is good, but we need to master your instinct first. I like to be in control of my actions, thanks. Then you'll like to be dead? Sometimes the blade must be faster than the mind. Instinct is an incredibly powerful ally, but it is also dangerous. How so? It's hard to describe. Just take this at face value. You will be a better fighter if you learn to separate your instinct and your thoughts. Control of both is essential. That's confusing, but I trust you. Good. Sounds like we may be getting somewhere after all. So, when you come at me from the left like that, it makes sense for me to twist and dodge back. That is correct. But in the moment when we were sparring, my first instinct was to lean in, pass the blow, and strike. A dangerous maneuver, but one that would have won you the fight and left you unarmed. I see. I see what you're saying with the danger. How do you learn to make these decisions so quickly? There's a fine line between self-preservation and losing your edge. Fighting is about being dynamic. Yes, that's all well and good. How do you learn to make these decisions so quickly? I don't know, Sia. I don't have an answer. I'm hoping if we drill it into you and you gain enough experience, it will come. This is how it happened for me. Seems like a risky proposition to me. Little value can be found in places devoid of risk. When did you become the wordy philosopher? When you're the only one around to hear me. Hey, that almost sounds like you consider us friends. Oh my god, Arma. I don't have the motherfucking voice for this. So, tell me, was my trial as great a challenge as you anticipated? Greater. It was the greatest challenge and honor I had yet experienced. And yet you prevailed. I had assistance. Indeed, some fight by strength, others by talent, and still some by luck. But your strength comes from your skill. Your friends are fierce fighters, but you trained long to fight as you do. I can respect that. Fierce as they were hardly my friends when I faced you. Our paths had only just crossed up the road. Then you sought to challenge me alone. I did, and I traveled many leagues to do so. Why? What drew you to it? I learned all I could of the martial arts at the monastery. It was a long past time to put my training to the test. I can't imagine that explanation was pleasing to your superiors. I came to discern the call of the gods, and when my training was complete, I heard it. I was called to challenge Aruma, the Senari. So it was. Well, I hope to remain worthy of your call. You've yet to give me any reason to doubt it. Okay, I literally can't anymore. Like, I can't do all of these. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's count them all. How many we've got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 more? God damn. Orima, pardon me. I've read so much of your exploits, and now to finally meet you, well, suffice it to say, I'm honored you decided to accompany us. You're shaking like a wet dog, elf. Have some dignity. Why? Oh, I suppose I am. Perhaps there's a draft. So you are the one who led the others to my trial. Yes, and it was no trivial task. You did not make yourself easily discoverable. If I had, I expect you might have found me too late. Before another challenger bested you, I hardly think it likely. I do not claim to have the power to single-handedly stem the tide of the armies of Aramor. Would armies have been sent after you? There are those with the power to send them who stand to gain much satisfaction from my death, even still. You speak of those responsible of your exile. I speak of whom I speak. Perhaps that was presumptuous of me to ask. Might we start at the beginning, then? What was it like to grow up under the shadow of your father, the great mirage of the Silent Sands? And how should I share my story with you when I have yet to finish writing it myself? We all must share our stories while we yet live, or we risk them being rewritten by other, less reliable narrators. Is that a threat? Of course not. Merely a humble historian's advice. Come then. Let us go where we might speak more privately. I will tell you of my father. Wonderful. You wield powerful magic, young wizard. I guess so. Honestly, I don't really try to. It kind of just happens. Then you have a natural ability. That is a gift, but you shouldn't let it toss you about. I feel like I've gotten used to that at this point. With some improvements to your form, you could. Best to start now. What do you think I should change? When you cast a spell, take a warrior stance. Plant your feet at shoulder's width. Bend slightly at the knees. Lean into the staff. This will help you anticipate the force of the spell. Huh. I hadn't thought of that. Maybe we can spar a bit so I can try it out? Battle is a far better teacher than a sparring partner. Alright, I'll give it a go next chance I get. Think you can keep an eye out for me and let me know if I've got it? Huh. It's hard not to notice your spell casting, my friend. But yes, I won't be far. Thanks. We're really lucky to have you with us, Arma. For now, at least. But I hope you'll think about staying. There's no shortage of things to think about in times like these. But with or without me, all of you have an important role to play in the days ahead, and the means to accomplish your goals. That's right. I always knew my sister would do great things. In a way, graduating early turned out to be a good thing. Now I get to be a part of it and help her. I'm sure she depends on you more than she admits, Alden. You have a lot to offer this group. I may even say more than most, but I wouldn't want that to go to your head. I don't know about that. Good. A bit of humility will serve you at least as well as proper form. Okay, give me a quick second. All right, back to it. Arama the Sinari. This is absolutely unreal. I take it you've heard of me? From Sarah, yeah. Sounds like where you come from, you're the best. That's some assertion, but I was the longest reigning champion of the arena, before my exile. Impressive. We didn't have an arena in Red Hill, but if we did, I would have been the same. Just to give you a sense of my background. I see. So you're a man who enjoys a good challenge, then. Never turned one down. Then it's a good thing we share this road. There's no telling what we'll face from one day to the next. That's what's so exciting about all this traveling we're doing. Growing up in Red Hill, training day in and day out, I never knew the world was so big. No matter how much of it you've seen, it's still bigger. Carizal is as alive as its inhabitants. No place is ever the same on the second visit. I've never thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Whoa. Sit with that. It should last you a while. Yeah. I hope you don't mind my saying so, Arma, but getting to fight with you is a bit surreal. Huh. It seems I've no shortage of admirers in this company. Not at all. I didn't grow up in Oasis, but everyone from the old men to the street urchins told stories about your fights. Where did you grow up? Concordia. Ah, I've never been. But then again, I hardly traveled at all before my exile. Let me tell you, you're not missing much, unless you have a taste for massive supply caravans and watching beggars scrap in the dust for a loaf of bread. I wouldn't say I fall into those categories. Then Oasis was a much better choice. Was that always your dream as a child, to move to the capital? As soon as I learned what my father did, yes. He was a fighter too? Indeed. I think that's what planted the desire to compete within me at a young age. I'd believe it. Honestly, I think that's why stories about you always fascinated us as kids. Your childhood dream wasn't just something you talked about. You actually lived it. For a time. I guess, but that's always true, isn't it? What happened to you wasn't fair. I think even those who orchestrated it knew that. But the end always comes sooner or later. So it does. And now we have before us a new beginning. Exactly. And that's pretty exciting. Yes, it is. Okay. Helena and Caius. You're a kind man, Caius. Huh. I appreciate that, though I do wonder what made you break your holy silence to say it. I am no longer bound by my vow of silence. Could have fooled me. Kidding. But anyway, what inspired you to risk inflating my ego? I read Hill. What you did for those street urchins after the battle, sharing your rations, that was a selfless act. Ah, right. To be honest, I was hoping no one saw that. Why? I know many who would have done the same, hoping that someone would notice. Well, I didn't want any of you to think that I was ungrateful for the visions you've shared. I'm really not. It's more that I know where my next meal is coming from, and they don't. They're just kids. I know what that's like. You have stood in their place yourself. I have. I'm not proud of it, but if it weren't for unreasonably kind strangers, I don't know if I'd be here right now. Certainly not the way I am. That is nothing to be ashamed of. We are all entirely dependent upon one another. There are merely those who admit this, and those who don't. Yeah, I believe that. Good. Then we are of the same mind. Looks like we are. Alden, you're covered in soot. Yeah, I think that happens when I cast too many spells at close range. Let's get you cleaned up. Are you feeling alright? Are you hurt? Not hurt, really. I'm just a little exhausted, I think. I know what you mean. Hey, can I ask you a question? Of course. Anything. What happened to Sterling, exactly? Why couldn't you and Lincoln heal him? I thought you might ask about that. Is that a bad thing? No. It's perfectly understandable that you'd want to know. I only wish I had a better explanation for what happened. I don't know why we couldn't heal him. There was some kind of strange and terrible magic at work. Nothing like it before in my life. Seems like neither had Lincoln. But the other soldiers took him back with them, right? Couldn't somebody else have healed him? No, Alden. By then, he was dead. He was gone. I hope that's the most you know of loss for a long time. But in our world, you don't often get so lucky. Is it like that for everyone? I'm not sure what you mean. When we defeat our enemies, do their families miss them? Not all of our enemies are living humans. The undead we faced in Drakenweld, for example. They were nothing more than animated corpses. Sure, but what about when we fought the Aramorans, or the Delian troops? Yes, Alden. Many of them had fathers and mothers, brothers, and all the rest of it. But don't forget, many of them would have just as easily taken from you and your friends. From your friends and family if they had the chance. I guess, but it's still hard to think about. I know. I think it's supposed to be. It can help us remember never to take a life unless it's absolutely necessary. But when it is necessary, don't second guess yourself. We have to do what we can to survive. We have to look after each other, you know? Yeah, I know. When you feel this way, do you think you can try to remember that? Yeah, I can try. Funny. I've been waiting for an apology and yet here we stand. No one apologizing. Strange. Very cute, Sloane. I don't mind you being rude, or even comparing me to people I've never met that I'm sure you have a low opinion of. I do mind you waltzing around thinking you know me. You don't. Prove it then. Prove I don't know you. How do you suggest I go about doing that? Give up on trying to get all your money and power back. You don't need it to be happy. Brooke, you realize how silly that sounds from someone who kills people to acquire money and power? I do realize that, actually. That's the fun thing about all this. I don't need to be a hypocrite to be right. You're simply impossible. You wouldn't understand what it's like to have everything all your life and then have it taken away. Nope, I wouldn't. What I do understand is that I've seen countless heirs and heiresses dedicate their lives just to getting back to where they were as a kid. It's sickening to watch. I think you can be better than that. Oh, so now you're my biggest supporter. Pick a side, woman. How long is it going to take for you to understand that there are no sides? I don't need this, but you might. Excuse me if I don't believe that your motives are so pristine. You're excused. Garrick, I'm still a bit worried about Irving. You've spoken to him recently, haven't you? I must have made an oath. I must have made an oath once to never let him go a day without my pestering. So, yes, we've spoken. And while I can't imagine what he's going through is easy, I think I'm a lot less concerned than you are. That doesn't mean you're right to be. Oof, as cutting as your words are, they're probably true. That's what gives them their sting. Well, regardless, given the circumstances, he seems to be doing all right. That's good to hear. I just wish there was something we could do for him. There always is, and I think we're doing it, to the best of our admittedly deficient abilities. I know, but it's just so hard to know what to do. On the one hand, I don't want to bother him and remind him about his loss too much, but I also don't want him to think I don't care. The difference between you and me is that I don't mind annoying him. I'm quite certain I've been doing that all my life. You can add me to that list of certain people, too. Glad to have your vote of confidence. Can you try to be serious for a moment? Oh, Garrick, I think you actually gave some sound advice there. Yeah, well, don't get used to it. I think I just might like serious Garrick. Sounds like what you really like is setting yourself up for disappointment. God, I'm so sad Garrick isn't actually, like, my Garrick didn't get the level ups he needed. And I accidentally made him a witch hunter, which I fucking shouldn't have. But it was an accident. But fucking thank God we're done. Now I can actually play the goddamn chapter. In Shellabong, Irving meets his father, Alistair. A council meeting is called, and many come to discuss how to handle the current danger. Among them is Maeve, a half-elven inquisitor from the Mystic Council of the Expanse. She is joined by Thalanel. Thalanel. Yeah, Thalanel. One of the exiled, a reclusive group of sun elves from the far north. Maeve has been tasked with joining the expedition by the council, and as her warden, Thalanel must join as well. They seek the trial of the soul, and must head to the Towering Weald to find that which will bring them to it. Repeat all of that. They seek the trial of the soul, and must head to the Towering Weald to find that which will bring them to it. Though they sought to avoid the wandering Sylvan tribes in the Weald, they find no such luck. God damn, been streaming an hour, and we're finally getting into the fight. How are you feeling about this, Brooke? It seems too quiet to me. Pretty sure we want it to be quiet, guys. There's a stream and plenty of foraging. We should be hearing animal sounds. This forest has been loud our entire trip, teeming with life. Now, I can't hear a thing. If Helena can't hear anything, I think you're right to worry. What was it that Maeve said about the Sylvans yesterday? You don't hear them until they want you to. Marin, watch out! What are you doing in the sacred woods? We are simply passing through. There is no simply passing through the lands of our gods. You are desecrating their memory. Hold on. The maps placed your consecrated land a week's journey west. How are we standing on it now? They take the remains with them. Consecrated land is simply wherever they are. Great. Go ahead and make it so easy for us to avoid offending your sensibilities. Let me guess, the punishment for such crimes is death. Clumsy foreigners. They already raised the alarm, making my task here an impossibility. We need to run. Now. Black Abyss, who are you? My name is Ren, though it will be of little import if we find ourselves strung from the trees as warning for future trespassers. That clearly doesn't seem very efficient with how much they move around. Not now, Brooke. Ren, how do we get out of here? The only clear pathway is north, through the shallows. If we ran south, they would pick us off one by one. North it is. Everyone, we need to get going and fast. What is your base abilities? You've got no motherfucking strength. Lethal expertise. Mastery further increases armor penetration. So I want to go with the one that increases mastery the most, which is Duelist. Because his strength is fucking garbage. Now I have another Duelist. Because unfortunately Brooke is level 15. And that's not much use. So I'm also not really sure about Orvin anymore. Like, he's not better than my crit queen, 100%. But also, I need Alden. Why I don't need Elias because Alden's just going to be better. Unfortunately, Benji's defense just isn't what Vesta's is. So he's not going to be useful either. Having a second or having another healer with us is going to be nice. So I might actually just keep bringing Marin, even though her stats are fucking awful. Just having a third healer is really helpful. Escape in 25 turns. The Sylvans have been alerted to the party's presence. Escape through the river to the north. What is your dexterous style? You don't have any. Okay. I mean, admittedly, the orientation of the units doesn't really much matter. What are these blocks? Who needs the most experience to 24? Jesus. Ren's 25. See, you don't kill in one hit, right? Not even close. I mean, oh, what is... Okay, not even close. We'll just murder. Just to get Alden his level up. That's some good shit. But we expected nothing less. I can't even get on dead, so not too much worried about it. Just move everybody up as much as I can. Oh, a little bit obnoxious, but all right. Nope. Even though nobody can help her with that kill, Sophia should be fine. If not, Samara's literally right behind her to heal her, so we don't need to much worry about her. Send Vesta up. Send Irving up. Send Helena up, but a little bit back. Oh, I should have pushed Irving. Or Vesta, whichever one. But I did not. Alright, that's fine. That hurts, but Samara's around, so. Gonna give him a chance. Just to help get him caught up with everybody else. Because Lincoln is a great unit, and I don't want to lose him. Oh, I got lucky. Crit? Crit. Because she my crit queen. Oh, is there no fucking game audio? God damn it. This is a shit time to learn that. Oh, there's just straight up no in-game audio. Oh. Sweet. Well, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. We'll just try again later. I want to cut it off for now because, one, my stream is experiencing some serious issues, and oh, Jesus Christ. Two, I'm coming back in about an hour and 15 minutes for a very, very special stream, so I'm gonna go take a break.